Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Why, hello there. Welcome back.
You know, guys, this one we want to thank our good friend Paige for saying you got to check out all the interesting alien invasion references they're giving in Super Bowls in the commercials. You know, they always touch on interesting topics, and that's what this person's saying over on Twitter.
Yes, I mean, look at this. And she texted us and she says, boy, oh boy, you need to check out these commercials. And how curious is it? You know, I mean, there's no better time to run a commercial than on Super Bowl. Why? Because the mainstream, it's like the mainstream watches Super Bowl. And what do we think that they're doing? They are definitely seeding consciousness. This is absolutely crazy, the commercials they're having.
Yeah, and the timing too, because you know, Cindy and I both had really curious visions last night as well, and they were kind of in the same ilk. Let's just say, this is from a Super Bowl commercial, and what do you see? Of course, everybody is staring at their phones, so they don't even notice what goes right overhead. Proof of extraterrestrials. Well, look up instead of looking at your phone. Look up. It's right over you. And there she is, smiling as she's walking along. Shocking UFO testimony. The dog knows. The dog's like, you guys are reading about UFO testimony. Come out and see one for yourself. These guys are having a board meeting and somebody's popping in. And the little gray hits something and it starts to say, hello down there, coming across everybody's. You know, that's the way you got to communicate. But that's the way they're training us to communicate. Oh, yes, actually, every little thing about this system ultimately is coming down here from up there in more ways than one. Yes, Elon'S satellites. Yes, the internet. And yes, you know, this has always been an extraterrestrial affair. Here you have people wondering, when is the fake Project Bluebeam alien invasion going to come? And, you know, it would be a real alien invasion going on, and you would still have people that are going to think it's holographs until somebody's actually melted on the sidewalk next to them. You know, not to give too nasty a picture there. The reality is, again, the real alien invasion took place a long time ago, and in fact, you know, humanity itself is in some ways not native to the planet, but certainly more native to the planet than the controllers, because you know they're not really native to the planet at all when you get down to it. And this is just about a next stage, but this is the way things were in a different age. Yes, the next stage, it leads the way to the new age, and that term terrifies people, even though again it's biblical. These are the birth pangs of the new age. A fireball blazing across Hawaii as object falls to Earth. Well, now we could just simply say it's got to be one of Elon's, right? I mean, he's got tens of thousands. He's going to have millions of satellites up there by the time, you know, 2100 rolls by. millions. It's got to be Elon's buddies. Yeah, it's Elon's buddies, all right.
I don't know. Look at it. I mean, it's like a really, really big looking thing with a whole bunch of little looking things following right behind it. How adorable.
Yeah, at this angle, doesn't apparently look to be dropping, but, you know, there again, it looks like they're on a flight path.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something going a different direction behind it there. That was, again, Hawaii. A lot of people are buzzing about that one. This is another one. This one went over the center of Beijing, caused a big stir over in China. It's so fascinating how they always look similar. And they'll tell you, well, the colors just, it depends on the composition. You know, so-and-so composition will give you these beautiful blue ones, and this will give you these beautiful green ones. Don't worry. These are all just nothing but rocks and harmlessly burning up in the atmosphere. This one was captured over here. This is off of the Florida East Coast. If you could look to that top right, you see it flying by there. They always look the same pretty much. This one is over Mumbai, India. Second in 5 days. Actually, there was 3 of them in the same area in a small period of time. Curious. Back in 1913, hundreds of these fireball meteors rained down North America for no apparent reason. This strange event is known as the Great Meteor Procession of 1913. Well, it actually looks like in that painting, they're heading in the same direction together, kind of following a path together. And this was talking about that Flagler Beach. I used to live over there, right off of Flagler Beach for a little while. Very beautiful place. Loved it. And they saw it go down towards the water. There have been numerous times that people have seen UFOs go straight into the water. Straight into the water. This Great Meteor Procession is a really, really interesting one. And it dazzled viewers in Canada, northeastern U.S., and ships in the Atlantic all the way down to Brazil. All the way down to Brazil. A procession of meteors was unlike other meteor showers, where zippy streaks of light all radiated outward from a single point. These appeared across the sky in formation on identical paths. Information on identical paths. Well, isn't that how ships would travel? It doesn't seem like it should take too much to put that together.
Well, no, but everybody's going to listen to the professionals because they're the only ones that know what anyone is talking about. They're the ones who get the education from the controllers. I mean, these professionals, they definitely know what's going on.
Yeah, and here you have a 50,000-year-old meteor impact in Arizona. This is what they call it. It's one of the best preserved craters in the world. And, the energy of this, Cindy will tell you what it does to me.
Oh, no. I mean, usually Mike drives. He drives everywhere. And we had it was U-Haul. It was camper. We had something behind us. It was big. And I'm not one that tows. I've never towed before. And he got so dizzy, he got so sick, he could not drive. So I ended up driving. It didn't bother me, but to me, he was tapping into some energy that I wasn't feeling that was really, really distressful. So I looked in there more, and sure enough, there was like a really big war right around here. And he was feeling that, and it affected him in such a big way. And it makes me wonder, like, how many people are just driving down the road and might get hit with a big cloud of energy. They don't know what happens to them. To them, maybe they're having a stroke. Maybe they're having a heart attack. But no, they've hit a wall of energy and their body doesn't know how to handle it.
And, all I could keep thinking and feeling is people looking up in absolute terror and then they're dead. They're wiped out. And I do think this was really an act of war. I don't think this was just a random rock coming from space. No, this was an act of war. And I do think that a lot of the American Southwest is the way it is because of the war that has been around since time immemorial. And in fact, I think we're still in that war. We are still in that war. Absolutely. Perhaps we've been in a period with a little bit of a quote unquote like peace treaty going on or some sort of no fire, no outward aggression on planet Earth. Yet there's still different instances going on. When Cindy was looking at a lot of these meteors, what she's seeing, especially one in Hawaii, she sees it as being part of a ship. And, again, we've picked up more than one time that some debris that really is coming down is actually debris from a ship that's been destroyed because of the war that is still ongoing.
There's a war that we cannot see. There's energies going on above us right now and I think people are feeling them. I think people can feel the distress along with all of the other things that are going on, along with the evolution of the human body. I mean, it's a really chaotic time, but so many people are not able to focus on what's going on inside of them, which can be really chaotic. I mean, it can put people in really bad positions. Maybe you're having heart problems. Maybe somebody could be having seizures, and maybe you're tapping into all of this chaos and you don't know what it is. So I just think it really puts us at a disadvantage. What do we need to do about that? We really need to put our foots down and prioritize our own health and prioritize our own well-being so that we can grab our center and find our center anytime that we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. We did end up driving to this, but we actually pulled up and I just felt like I just couldn't stand the energy there. So we ended up not going up to the rim and looking down, but I could feel it, and I could feel what the people went through in the area. And again, this is south of Winslow, Arizona. This is like heading on the way over to Show Low and Springerville, Eagerville. The wars of the gods, the wars of so many different, it depends on where you are in the world. If you're talking Norse mythology, then we're talking about the Aesir and the Vanir, and the wars going on between these different groups of gods in the sky over our heads. Yes, because of the times and stuff, often they're depicted and thought of as on steeds that could fly. But the reality is that they used ships. Two races of gods. And again, we should take this word gods and make sure it's in the small g, because it's not the creator of this universe. There is a creator of this universe, but this is one of many universes. There are infinite numbers of universes out there. And ultimately, there is one source of everything. But when we're talking about gods, really what we're just simply talking about is, in some cases, often extraterrestrials. Sometimes we're talking about interdimensional extraterrestrials. Sometimes we're talking about inner earth beings. And some beings actually live under the sea as well. And the Aesir are the more warlike gods, which have been equated to the Anunnaki. And the Vanir are the more peaceful fertility gods that, again, are symbolized as being nature gods or more in line with nature. And this, again, is really, it's all it is just the turning of the wheel of the cycle of the yugas. As we go from a golden age, where the only ones that are around us are benevolent beings, Silver Age, we're still surrounded by benevolent beings, but there starts to become openings that then in the Bronze Age are taken advantage of by the lower vibrational frequency ones, and they worm their way in and eventually take hold and take control as we go into a dark age. And in the dark age, we're really in the dark. We don't even realize that we're being manipulated by beings that are not like us. They're different than us. When we look to, again, the Hindu texts, they talk clearly about this. In fact, the Vimanas, or the ships, there's many different classifications of Vimanas. And again, the Vimanas are spoken of as being of different sorts depending on the yuga, depending on what age we are in. They will be made of different materials, literally be made from pure consciousness and energy in the golden age to being very, very mechanical in the middle of the Bronze Age, and when we go to the Kali Yuga. And there's a nonstop war out there going on between the groups that we call the Asuras, which again are the more in service to themselves ones, the darker forces. You could even call them a little bit more demonic. And the Devas, which are the ones that are more associated with nature and the natural order of things. All over the world we'll find depictions, whether it's engraved in brass or stone or paintings. We'll find all sorts of engravings and paintings, etc. Images that are depicting different vehicles that people saw in the different ages, as you can see. And often they are very, very similar. And it's amazing how many we will find in Central America, Central and South America, that will look very similar to what we see over in, say, the Middle East. and over in Mesopotamia, and over into even Iran, which was Persia, and India, and over into China. It's universal because these wars have always been going on. Sometimes, like this picture in the top right, there will be just events that come out of nowhere, and people will witness, they'll just come out and watch these battles of the gods, and then it's over. And then everything kind of goes back to normal, sort of, for a while, and then it'll happen again. When you really look closely, you'll see there's a story being told, and we've, again, never been alone. So not only do we have extraterrestrials out there, we have interdimensional beings that can change their frequencies at will and kind of appear and disappear right in front of our eyes. We also have beings that live inside the earth and under the seas, and there might be as many of them as there are humans on the face of the earth.
When you are able to find the time to get through to this information, and you see all of the artifacts, and you start to recognize that, hey, how did these things get here? How are these things even made? How is this possible? But wait, wasn't I taught something different? Everything starts to pile on. It does take a little bit of time to go through an awakening, because it's all about you understanding it for you. And I really don't think anyone should allow anyone else to tell them, what is what. I highly suggest you go find out for yourself, because you need to stand on solid ground. And then there was this thing that we woke up to this morning. Last night's visions, last night's dreams, they were really, really awful. And then we woke up to Elon dropping this when one of the visions that I saw was actually of these draconian type beings in these ships, and they're giving orders to people, and people are looking at their tablets, looking at their phones, and they're having to do what the technology is telling them to do. It was very, very horrible. And we wake up to this. It was just kind of gross.
Yeah, exactly. And mine were of a slightly different ilk. They were more about the war that's on our doorstep. But again, this war that's always felt like it's over there is not going to be over there anymore. Things can change. They absolutely can change. And I do think the reason why that DEA GEL forecast was out there was kind of a warning. That was from the dark side to what we would view as the forces of the Galactic Federation, saying, the treaty might be coming up in 2025, but this is what we will do if our demands are not met. And there are all sorts of negotiations that humans don't have a clue of. We really don't have all the details on, and we can't, and maybe others out there will find themselves in the same situation where you're looking for certain details. They'll give you some things, but they're not allowed to tell us everything. And when you remote view into certain areas, when you look into certain areas, you'll find that the dark side has probably the largest team of very, very gifted psychics in the world working for it, because they've recruited them. So these beings know how to put up blinders. They know how to put up psychic camouflage, so you cannot see clearly what is really going on here. Elon saying there's no fooling the internet. As you see a T-Rex there going to war, he's got something on his little arm so he could carry some sort of maybe 50 caliber rifle there. Historical footage of the last T-Rex serving his country in World War I. Again, countries are arbitrary. Go back to Deuteronomy 32:8 and Psalm 82. They are split up and created by the control system in order to keep us divided and constantly fighting ourselves, so we don't realize that we're being manipulated. So, again, they've covered all their bases with putting so much of that Project Bluebeam out there. So if there is anything real, people a certain proportion of the population will automatically think it's not real when it might be real, and vice versa too. Because when we look up at the sky right now, that sky is blocking out things that really are there. Our solar system has more planets than they tell us. There are planets very close to us that they block out with clouds. Why do they want to do that? Well, because those planets are completely free of the system and they don't want us knowing about it.
No, I don't think they want us communicating with them too. When we finally realize that we can communicate to one another, and that's something that we're realizing every day as we talk to each other and talk about our stories and this and that, and we pick up certain things from other people that they were thinking at the same time. So we are definitely becoming telepathic. Our energy is becoming more connected. And the more people work on it, the tighter our connection. And if we had that direct view of those planets, we could talk to those beings. We could communicate with them quite clearly. And they're not ready for that yet. They need to still have a handle on humans. We are very important for their circus that they want to continue on with.
Absolutely. So is an alien invasion a possibility again? The control system itself is alien and foreign, so to speak, to the planet. So that already happened. Could it happen again? Yeah, it could. Absolutely. It's just a matter of if they decide to go openly to war again. It's all up in the air. Nothing is written in stone. All these consciousnesses that are inhabiting this planet, perhaps 8 billion human on the surface, perhaps an equal amount inside the earth and under the oceans as well, hidden from us purposefully, because again, even those beings, some are part of the system, a lot are not part of the system. And they just don't want you knowing that you have the option of declaring your freedom and your own self-authority and clearly stating. If we could clearly state in unity we want nothing to do with the system and get people to really understand that, then that enables other beings to help us a little bit more openly.
Indeed.
Source bless. Look forward to your comments. Namaste.
Namaste.